Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Kicking off today's conference, we have Todd, who's going to be talking to us about the neurodivergent families. So join me in welcoming Helen as well.
Thank you so much for joining this session. This is something that I'm really very passionate about. You'll find out very soon. So I want to set the stage. There we go. Great. Technical advice will see for the first time. Okay, so let's set the stage next 30 minutes. This is an interactive session. There will be times I'm going to ask you to join in, but you're under no obligation to do so. Okay. You're here because you want to know about the neurodivergent advantage and what it can do to transform people and culture strategies. I'm going to let you know how my own neurodivergence has shaped people-centered practices, strategies, and cultures in tech companies. I'm going to share how my Dyscalculia has enabled me to support inclusive and innovative workplaces that champion equity and provide opportunities for people to succeed. You're going to find out about Dyscalculia and the value that neurodivergent people bring to the workplace. You'll also find out more about how tech-adjacent employees are vital for an organisation's success. So you're probably thinking, who are you and why should I listen to you? So I first discovered I was neurodivergent when I was 14, and my maths teacher told my parents I had Dyscalculia, and it was a parent-teacher consultation. It was the mid-90s, however, and there was very little research into this neurodivergence. So I just carried on knowing that Maz and I did not get on. And I was also hiding the pure panic and confusion I felt and consulted anything to do with numbers. So what is Dyscalculia? According to the Dyscalculia Association of the UK, dyscalculia is a condition that affects the ability to acquire mathematical skills. Dyscalculic learners may have difficulty understanding simple number concepts, lack an intuitive grasp of numbers, and have problems learning numbers back and procedures. And even if they produce the correct answer or use the correct method, they may do so mechanically and without confidence. And if you think about the tasks they complete every day, we're using maths and numbers both without realising it. We use them when we set our alarms to tell the time. We use them to work out our commute for time how long we have to eat our breakfast before logging in.
And if you're actively having to think about all of this, life can be exhausting and overwhelm can easily set in. For me to get here today, it required a lot of planning. I came here on the bus, so I had to plan when I had to leave the house, what timetable I was following, what bus I was getting, how long it took to walk from Lanyon Place where I got off, how long it was going to take me to walk around the steps and up to get this room. So all of that took an awful lot of planning, an awful lot of numbers, and even for me to know the distance between the door and this plinth, that's huge, okay? And an awful lot of people don't think about that, okay? But those are huge decisions for me, okay? So research into dyscalculia is around 30 years of that of dyslexia. And that's according to the British Dyslexic Association. And I feel very privileged to be in this percentage. And around 6% of the global population have this specific learning difficulty, and that's according to the Dyscalculia Network. And if you can, follow the Dyscalculia Network on their socials. That is an absolutely amazing resource. Okay, so I knew that to achieve the career I wanted, I needed to develop techniques and mechanisms to remove the confusion and panic I felt when confronted with anything to do with numbers. But that is a whole other talk. That's a huge talk. But I passed my Maths GCSE and Economics A level, and I then went on to get a 2-1 in my hospitality management degree. There's a lot of numbers in hospitality. I returned to university as a mature student to complete my postgrad diploma in personnel management and get my Chartered Institute of Personnel Management accreditation. I was always very aware of having to work harder than my peers. I was academically average. I hated revising because it was exhausting going over and over information that just simply did not go in. And exams, assessments and tests still fill me with dread. So my dyscalculia was never discussed at any stage past that parent-teacher consultation. So it was up to me to figure out how to learn in a neuro-exclusive environment. But I'm always able to find the positive from every experience, and this set me up rightly for the neuro-exclusive world of work. So in August 2023, I started my HR consultancy after 18 years of working in the HR industry, and I decided to tell people that I had dyscalculia. Very few people in the world up to this point knew that I was neurodivergent and had dyscalculia. So it was a monumental step for me. And I had always seen my dyscalculia as a weakness, and I'd hidden it, but I realised that my neurodivergence had actually given me some amazing skills. So, I am now proudly neurodivergent. I describe myself as a dyscalculic thinker. I am very vocal about diversity, equity, inclusion and belonging. I am positive and pragmatic, and I love working in the people and culture HR industry as a tech adjacent professional. And I've thrown this photo in because this is actually me at the UK Startup Awards, where I won the regional award for professional services in Northern Ireland and was a UK finalist. I was just really proud of the fact that my entrepreneurial spirit with my neurodivergence came through. So again, I'm really proud of neurodivergent. Thank you so much. I'm really just so proud of being neurodivergent and getting there. So thank you. Thank you. So the next slide then. I want to give you an idea before we go on to the next section. I want to share a couple of images with you. I'll give you an idea what it's like living with dyscalculia. That's quite massive, actually. I didn't realise how big that was going to be. So, picture of my brain. Okay, so the image of all the doodles, squiggles in different colours is the notes that I made during my annual house insurance renewal conversation. And the discussion lasted 45 minutes. Whoa, it was a very intense conversation. So, there were a lot of questions that involved numbers, like the distance from the nearest river, how tall the tree in my back garden is, and what percentage of my house has a flat roof. I was also given lots of information with numbers, like the renewal difference from last year, the new cost of the insurance, and the excess amount. Now, you might think that by looking at that image, I spent the time on that phone call not taking in anything and just doodling. However, that image is the journey of the call. That bit of paper has 3 very distinct sections, and each shape and colour represents when my brain had to process information. And I can track that call. There's 3 sections. There's a section there, and there's a section there. There's 3 columns in that bit of paper, and each doodle is a bit of information. So my work notebooks are full of corners like that. So if you see someone who is sitting in a meeting doing that, let them do it, because that is them processing the information that's happening in a meeting. They're not doodling. It's not that they're zoned out and they're not listening. They are probably really listening very intently, okay? The second image is from Minority Report, credit to the 20th Century Fox, just in case anyone calls that out. This is from Minority Report from 2002. And yes, I know I'm showing my age, and I know I now have interactive interfaces and the like now, but this gives a really good idea of how my brain processes information and what happens when I am presented with information and how I problem solve. So my brain is constantly busy and it's crammed with information. So I need to organise it. I need to get rid of information I don't need. I need to bring together the things that I do need, the stuff that I need to connect, hence the Minority Report image and interface. And that is how I will do stuff. There's been times where colleagues have basically thought I've zoned out, but what I'm actually doing is connecting the dots in my head. And I will also do a lot of mind mapping. And I love my A3 bits of paper with my coloured pens, because it means that I can move information about and move data about. So I'm still a bit, give me a bit of paper and some coloured pens and I'm in heaven. Okay, so a little bit of indulgence. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so But you're here to find out more about shaping people-centric strategies. So I'm going to share how my neurodivergence has shaped the strategies in the tech companies I've worked in and given them the neurodivergent advantage. I'm going to talk about this from a tech-adjacent professional point of view, but the skills and abilities are very much from my dyscalculia. So my dyscalculia has influenced my approach to talent acquisition. It's from employee relations, learning and development, performance management, everything I have done in my career. And I'm a big believer that if we make workplaces neuro-inclusive, everyone benefits. As a tech-adjacent HR professional, I've worked closely with software engineers and other tech teams, ensuring that work environments not only accommodated, but actively supported neurodivergent employees. By advocating for clear messaging in company communications, variable meeting methods, flexible work policies, I have helped tech teams reach their full potential. And by being tech adjacent, it means I work behind the scenes, ensuring that the people who drive tech innovation are supported without being patronised. And this role is essential for ensuring the long-term success of those teams. So inclusive workplaces, active support, not just adjustments, clear communication and flexible working. And then by encouraging a culture of trust and empathy, I create an environment where individuals feel valued, heard and empowered to do their best work. As a trusted advisor, I'm often the bridge between technical teams and the broader organisation. And my dyscalculia has given me the ability to translate their needs and challenges into actionable solutions that enhance their well-being and productivity. So whether it's designing equitable policies, advocating for mental health support, or simply being a reliable sounding board, my role is about putting people first, because when people thrive, innovation flourishes. So again, the trust and empathy. People come to you because they know I kind of understand. They feel valued, heard and empowered, and you translate those needs into actual solutions. So I may not be writing code, designing user interfaces or writing user stories, but the policies and processes I put in place ensure that the people who do are being able to bring their best selves to work. And my focus has always been in creating a psychologically safe environment where tech professionals feel valued, heard and able to contribute to their fullest. I love problem solving, but I'm in the somewhat enviable position of not seeing problems, but opportunities to learn and often collaborate. When you've spent your life developing techniques to make sense of the world around you and your environment, problem solving just happens. So I visualise the situation, consider the different perspectives and scenarios, then through a process of elimination, figure out the best course of action. And I think this is why I love working on people and culture so much. I'm a practical person too. And while I love researching and gathering information, I need to see the knowledge in action. And I learn by doing. I also really like a process because that brings consistency and it's tangible. And this has been an amazing skill in the fast-moving, ambiguous tech scale-up world I found myself in. So again, create psychologically safe workplaces, use best practice and bring those into the policies and processes, but also have that little bit of flexibility that allows people to do their best work. And then one of the key themes throughout my whole career has been to ensure that tech teams are not just diverse, but they are supported to succeed. I've introduced inclusive hiring practices to include inclusive job descriptions, through to relaxed yet compliant interviews that make it easier for neurodivergent talent to thrive, ensuring a diverse range of perspectives across all of our teams. I've also considered my hiring managers and the teams when designing recruitment processes and any adjustments that they might need. And I think that's really key, is that you need to consider everybody in the recruitment process. So hiring practices and diverse teams, and use those bias checkers, use that inclusive language, and, ask about those reasonable adjustments. And train your people to make sure they can recognise when someone is struggling during an interview or during an assessment. Okay, I am going to now do the interactive bit. I'm so excited. Okay, I love a bit of collaboration. Okay, so I've talked quite a lot. So I am going to get you to tell me about the collective value of neurodivergence. And I want you to tell me what you think are the positive traits that you associate with neurodivergence. We're going to do it in two ways because I'm very conscious that not everyone likes to, contribute by shouting out, and also not everyone also likes to write stuff down. So we're going to do it in two ways, right? We're going to use Slido, okay? So you're very welcome to use the Slido, okay? So once everyone's logged into that, right, let me know. But if people don't want to use the Slido and have to write stuff down, we're also then just going to contribute by shouting out, okay? All right. Great. We're starting already.
Approaching a problem from
Yeah.
a different perspective that someone's just written in a different but better way.
That's okay, but this is all about, collective thought, right? This is why having that diverse thought's brilliant. Anyone else want to shout out? Anybody else? Everyone else is quite happy using Slido? Don't be shy, it's okay.
Challenging the status quo.
Yeah, fab, thank you very much.
Thinking out of the box.
Thank you.
Private focus,
Mm-hmm.
more mindfulness, because neurodivergent person has to adjust. So he gains more mindfulness.
Yeah, okay. So whenever they're constantly thinking, they have to then be more mindful of their overwhelm as well and take that break. Is that what you're thinking?
No.
No?
It's more empathy.
Yeah. Fab, yeah.
Logical.
Yes. Fab. I love this. Look at this. I love this. Can I take a photo of this? Is that okay? Because look at this. I mean, from me thinking that my neurodivergence was a weakness, right? And a really negative thing for most of my life. The fact that these are all the things that are positive about having a neurodivergence just makes me so happy. And I think that there are so many people who still see their neurodivergence as a weakness and don't want to talk about it and are scared to speak to their managers and are scared to speak out in meetings and don't want to fully embrace all of these absolutely amazing things. Does anyone want to talk about any of these things they've put up here in greater detail about how these positive traits have been amazing in their own workplace? No.
So I'm autistic myself.
Yes.
I find it quite helpful being hyper-focused, where people just kind of leave me to my headphones on and just crack on with what they do. And finding an industry in tech which allows you to do that, it's nice, and you can give a input into a business and kind of think outside the box and a lot more than
Yeah.
I've been very nervous to come out being autistic. It is a superpower.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, brilliant. And I think that's really key. Is so with my dyscalculia, I need to be in a quiet room if I'm doing stats or if I'm doing reports, and it's quite difficult to find a quiet room sometimes. But I think if we say, I need quiet, I need just to have a bit of focus, I need to just be left alone, I think it's important that you can say, I just need a bit of time. And having the understanding of your colleagues and your manager to allow you to do that. And I think in tech, it's great that we hopefully have that ability to say, I need a bit of time. Can you give me that time? And I hope that everyone in this room has that ability to speak to the manager, to say that. And if you are a hire manager, that you give your people that ability to do that as well. Anybody else want to share?
I've worked with some neurodivergent colleagues and they are really good at challenging my thinking on things in a really positive way. So I'll have an idea, like we'll do it this way or this is the right way to do it, and we'll maybe ask like really basic questions on why did you get to that point so quickly, which will make me take a step back and think like, well, actually why did I choose that? Because I read in the book or somebody told me or whatever, and all these like simple questions in the sense of like going back to basics and be like what like help, and it's purely for my colleague to understand how did I get to that point of thinking. And one of two things happens. I explain my thought process and the conclusions I've got to and the reasons why. But my colleague's like, great, let's go with that. Or somewhere along the way, I'm like, well, hold on, I made an assumption on technology or a process or something like that, and I'll change my mind because we're looking at it at a new angle. A series of simple questions.
Yeah.
And I can try and question myself and be like, have I thought through this completely? But with my colleague helping me with it, it changes completely, just because of the perception that he has and the questions he asks a lot.
Amazing, thank you so much. I think that's really important as well, that this collaboration element, when you bring in all those different diverse ways of thinking, the neurodivergent people, and the neurotypical, we can't forget about them as well. And I don't like to use the word neurotypical, but, we bring everybody together and have that neurodiverse umbrella. And it just means that you can, fail fast, or you can push things on quicker, or you can, have those new ideas. And especially in tech, when you're maybe having to create products that need to get to market quicker, or you're having to, meet those expectations much quicker than, in other industries. It's amazing that we can bring all these different minds together and work together and have this real open-mindedness as well. Amazing, thank you so much. Anybody else want to? Yeah. Oh, fighting here. Yeah.
I put patience, and just to the point you were making there, I've actually found it's really useful in groups and teams.
Yeah.
A lot of the time you end up getting married to a bad idea, especially in development teams. And no one wants, everybody knows it's a bad idea, no one wants to say, especially anyone that's more junior in the team. You don't want to say to your boss, you don't want to say to someone up the chain of you, I think we're doing this the wrong way. I think we're going to end in a nadir doing this. And it's usually someone who may be neurodivergent in the team who isn't trying to think, I don't want to bug hitting the nerves of the wrong person. And they'll just say, this is wrong and stupid, and we shouldn't be doing it this way. Yeah. And everyone's thinking it, and no one wants to say it because no one feels comfortable saying it. And it's fantastic because the amount of damage that can be done when no one says it is unbelievable. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And it's so sometimes it's when you don't have that filter sometimes, and you need to just get it out. Yep. Yeah. And when you can't stop yourself from saying something.
And you can see it in the stand-ups as well, is everybody's shoulders just undertense. Yeah. Well, it's when it's said,
it's like, oh, thank goodness for that. Yeah.
Someone's
yeah. And you embrace that then. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because then everyone else is still chiming up, but yes.
Yes, thank goodness.
Now that you've said it.
Yeah. And they're now find another solution. Yeah. Yourself, thank you so much.
I was literally I was following on from what he just said, because that's literally what I was going to say. It's that I'm from the same generation as you, so nothing get diagnosed when I was younger, but I'm pretty sure of all the traits of ADHD, and it does give you that point where when you're older you can embrace it and go, I don't give a shit anymore, I'll just say what I think. And it's yes, it kind of helps. It also, like, I found ADHD particularly allows you to be a rapid thinker. Your brain operates at a speed that you're not waiting for things to be said, you just say them.
Yeah.
Obviously that can be career limiting in many ways as well.
Yeah.
But
I'm just going to point out he's doing a talk later, so if you really want to find out what he
no holds barred, yeah, okay, yeah. But I think but it's so good that we now live in an environment where we accept this. Like 10 years ago, we didn't accept this. I mean, I'm 43, and only at 42 did I actually tell people that I had dyscalculia. How awful's that? And I lived my whole career hiding the fact that I would stay late to be able to do reporting, or I would only tell maybe one person in the organisation that I struggled with numbers, because I had it as a weakness. But look at all these amazing things that we can now do, and we embrace, and we're positive about these things. And I think, we need to start being really positive and really go, yeah, do you know what? This is brilliant. This is great. And, there is things like the Dyscalculic movement network that's starting a movement, basically to now encourage people from a very young age to embrace the fact that they have dyscalculia. And this way we think, and the ADHD, and dyslexia and all the different ways that we think. So yeah. Anybody else? Yes.
Also made it okay to organise different events for people who possibly don't like parties.
Yes.
I think
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, I think like back even 5 years ago it wasn't really acceptable to skip like the drinks or whatever, but now people are more like, oh, we can do something before, we can do something after, and try to imitate what to do, and it's a little bit more inclusive, I think.
Yeah.
That made it much better, and also with that came the fact that you understand that you can split your team in a way that benefits your team with the people that you have, so they can focus on the things that they're good at.
That. Yeah.
So your team goes faster.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing to focus on skills that people have. You know, if someone's really good at something, let them do that. Don't force them to do something they're not good at. You know, you don't have to be an all-rounder. You know, if someone's really good at something, embrace that. Put them on those training courses and let them just go full pelt with it. And build your team in such a way where, yeah, you might have the contingencies and things like that, but allow people to fully be who they are. And that's what I've done with L&D and people being champions in teams and things like that. You know, because then people love coming to work. You know, because they can be who they want to be, and you know they're going, yes, I get to do this now. I'm going to do this, and you know, and I don't want to have to go to after work drinks. I don't have to socialise at lunchtime, and I can go and sit in a room by myself with my earphones in at lunchtime, and no one thinks I'm being antisocial because they know I just need to have a bit of time out. You know, and I think that's really key as well, because I get overwhelmed. I will use in the quiet room later on, you know, because I do have the overwhelm, and it's key that we allow people to take those breaks. You know, because things do get really intense. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm conscious of time, so I am going to just finish with a couple more thoughts, if that's all right. I think it's really important that we do have a call to action for you, okay? I would very much like you to create, I suppose that greater awareness and support within organisations if they're not there already. Because creating your inclusive environment doesn't just happen. And it's essential that organisations recognise the unique strengths and challenges that we all have, okay, that neurodivergent individuals have. So I'd encourage you to think about how you support and value your neurodivergent colleagues without being patronising, because that can happen too, and further inclusivity in your workplace. And I have one final thought. Neurodivergent employees bring unique perspectives that drive innovation and make organisations stronger, and that is the neurodivergent advantage. We have 2 minutes. 2 minutes for Q&A. Anybody?
Do you have any simple tips for somebody who's trying to support somebody with neurodivergence? So in my case, I'm trying to support a couple of colleagues. And the tricky part is that not exposing any diagnosis. There's some common traits without any judgment on us. Just wondering, regardless of neurodivergence or not. Is there a better way I can support colleagues like that with what I'm doing, just as an ally in some way?
Listen. Quite simply listen. Reasonable adjustments are so individual to people, and just listen to your people. Allow them to tell you what it is that they need. They may not know what they need, so it's having those regular catch-ups, conversations, and just making sure that if they're telling you they're feeling overwhelmed, or telling you in their break, or if there's something that's maybe bugging them, you know, you just take that away from them for a bit, you know, and listen to them, and send you a point of direction of resources. You know, if you have like an EAP, you know, that might help just to take a bit of the overwhelm. But even like I use like this Dyscalculia network, there's going to be resources. Exceptional Individuals is an amazing website that has resources on it. But people just need to know they're not alone as well, and that you are there. They need to have a chat, or that, you know what, without a full diagnosis, that's all right. You know, just there and listen. No, just keep doing what you're doing, and they will tell you if you're doing it wrong. Yeah, right. Yeah. Anybody else is on the other hand? Yeah.
Just a quick question. How do you help people like in a fully remote, fully remote company or environment? Is there any advice you can give like to help or to be the people to detect people who
Yeah, right.
turn the camera.
Yeah. They turn their cameras off. They do. Yeah. I think it's regular catch ups, you know, and it's like even if you send them a message going quick catch up, you know, not a negative thing, or quick catch up, you know, need 5 minutes, not a bad thing, you know, positive thing, you know, it's making people not have that panic that they've done something wrong, and it's keeping those lines of communication open. People maybe don't want to talk, they would rather do it over a message. People maybe don't want to do messaging, they have dyslexia, they don't want to have to write constantly, you know, because that's so stressful. They might just have to quick chat, a quick 5-minute chat, you know. It's finding those ways of communication that work for people. And yes, it might, as a manager, it might be a little bit kind of, oh, does this person need this way, this person, but keep track of it, you know. Remember who wants what way of communication, you know. And as a people manager, you should know your people, you know, and get to know how people like to be spoken to or communicated with. But just keep the lines of communication open.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Yes.
I find it really interesting, like how you've developed these strategies to deal with your dyscalculia. I'm just really curious. When you look back at that page of notes, can you get information back from it about what you were talking about in that phone call, or was it just to like help you in the moment?
Yeah. So I will know that in the first section we were going over my renewal. We were she was at, and then the second section was going to be about like the trees and the rivers and the distances, because that would be like the swirling. So that's my brain processing all the information. Like she asked me, how tall is the tree in your back garden? And I went, I don't know. Because the concept of like a meter, I don't know. Is that a meter? Is that, I don't know, right? So she had to basically try and explain to me how tall a tree was. And she had to try to explain to me how far away the river was that's near my house. And the swirling is me panicking because I don't have a clue what's going on. And the stars are me processing information. So anything with a square is me thinking, whereas swirls are panic. So yes, so I'll know kind of what's going on. So yes, that's kind of how I process the information.
So interesting.
So I track meetings in my notes as well. Yeah. But that's 3 years of sitting in senior management meetings and you know, dealing with complex ER cases and things like that. So I've had to learn techniques. If I'm doing minutes in a meeting as well, like obviously I can't doodle on minutes. And things like that. So I've had to then create mechanisms as well for dealing with that in those stressful situations. So after those sorts of things, I've had to come away and I've had to get like a page and just doodle just to get things out of my head. You know, so it's been, yeah, it's when working in the HR is can be quite stressful as well. And it's when you're dealing with numbers and absent supporting and performance management and stats, like I would do ramp with 100 people across weeks. So I'd have to know who was coming in, weigh into what location, how many, and things like that. So I mean, I would have boards of just numbers in different colours. So it's all about colour coding and colour blocking and things like that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, a quick one. I also relate to those questions about trees and how close to the river and all that. Had to go through that, didn't enjoy it. So with like advanced tools like AI and that being really useful for like say dyslexia and being able to get like a proper professional email through when you don't write that well. Have you found any like tools of that for like dyscalculia in any way?
Goblin Tools is very good. Goblin Tools has an estimating tool in it, so it gives you an idea of how long things will take. So I find that very useful, but I actually use the likes of Goblin Tools or ChatGPT to help me to analyse, like if I'm doing a lot of reporting or things like that, it'll just take that overwhelm away. I give it the information. It just helps me to correlate it, and it's my information, it's my content. It just takes away the overwhelm. But then the Goblin tools is very good. So it has a lot of different tools within it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I have to go now. Thank you so much.